Redditors who have been out of their home country, what's the weirdest thing you've seen? A man and woman in their underwear holding up a sign in New York. Not seen, but heard because I was asked what part of France I was from. I'm British. I got called a f***ing by a 5-year-old on a bike with training wheels in Belfast. Belfast is awesome. I was headed back to my friend's house when I got very slightly disoriented and stopped on a street corner and looked at the street signs around me. Some kid, maybe 10, stops and says, "What's the matter, America? Can't find your hamburger?" I just automatically replied, "I'm Canadian," and the little didn't lose a beat. He came back with, "You're really lost then. We don't even have maple syrup shop." We both laughed like idiots. Tanks casually rolling down the street and guys with machine guns patrolling in Zihuatanejo, Mexico. They tell you to not leave the town because Guerrero has a lot of cartel activity. The first thing I noticed about Iceland when I left the Keflavik airport was the near absolute lack of trees. The whole island has almost no trees. I'm from Appalachia, so that was really odd for me. Late one night in Shinjuku, Tokyo, I witnessed a Japanese pimp screaming at a prostitute a solid 8 inches taller than him. He looked like the stereotypical pimp, from the fur coat and cane right down to the Cadillac. It blew my f***ing mind. Watched a man in rural Afghanistan wipe the tip of his d*** with a rock after taking a piss. There actually are old ladies that call me sugar or darling. I thought it was a myth. I was in Amsterdam for the 2016 US election. People were staying up late to watch the election results come in. After the bar closed, I wandered back to my hotel room and came across Dutch, libertarian Trump supporters. Some other people overheard us chatting, and they got into a very civil, but heated, debate about US politics on a bridge over a canal. I felt I was pretty informed as an American, but these Dutch dudes were next level. It was weird to see people so invested in the details of our issues. They even debated the Constitution. Walking down a street in Mannheim, Germany, and had an older man pull up near me on a bicycle. He rang his bell twice and very directly looked at me and just said, "Hush." He then rode off casually ahead of me. For reference, I'm a 6 feet 6 inch guy, 198 centimeters, and a man in his 50s 60s just called me pretty in German. I mean, I'm pretty, but no one says it. A blackout drunk dude in a train in Japan with his wallet full of cash and phones on the floor. When the train was getting full of working dudes and students, they just asked him to sit up straight. He didn't lose his stuff and didn't really cause trouble. This was a Thursday morning. I'm from Canada. While driving through Idaho, we came across a grasshopper orgy. Literally thousands of mating pairs of grasshoppers as far as the eye could see. Seeing police carrying automatic weapons. This was in the Bahamas. Also, several places in the Caribbean, we had to pay to sit on the beach. I'm not talking renting a chair, just to sit in the sand. It cost quite a bit. I had never seen this before. Went to Japan in 2016 and never saw a public trash bin. More surprising was that there was no trash on the ground either. It was like citizens were expected to take their trash home. Cleanest country I've ever seen. Part of the culture is not eating on the go. You never see anyone walking while eating, or sipping a Starbucks on the way to work, like you do in the US. If you get food at a street vendor, you are supposed to eat it there and hand the trash back to the vendor when you are done. Or if you grab something from a vending machine, they often have a trash receptacle right next to it. I agree though, when I visited, it blew my mind that, despite it being hard to find a place to throw away trash, the streets were super clean. For me, the weirdest thing I saw when I was young was snow. This was when I first arrived to the United Kingdom. I'm from Fiji, which is a tropical country. Was out drinking one night in Saigon, Vietnam. Saw a dude walk down the street with a big python around his neck, followed shortly by a guy on his moped with a husky wearing sunglasses holding onto his back. Pretty awesome. Went to Thailand for a couple of weeks, got my menses, and bought any random pads. Well, turns out they were cooling pads. Feels like your vulva had a mint 10 out of 10 would buy again. Now I oddly miss them. Went to Peru with several people from a Chinese community in New York. I'm white. We were going to do some charity work for a local orphanage in a very rural area, like pour water into your toilet bowl so it can flush rural. Our local chaperone legit told the Asians in the group, if you get cornered in a dark alley at any point, even if you do have a weapon, your best chance is to do the Bruce Lee crane pose while yelling "Hiya," because the people around here will only know Asians as the guys in the kung fu movies that beat up everybody. You do that, they'll think they accidentally cornered a kung fu master. You're laughing now, but if it ever happens you'll thank me. He later told me he learned that from another group that had a similar experience where it worked. Today I saw kangaroos, horses, so many wallabies, pigs, cows, an eagle, rabbits and a dingo, all dead and their carcasses being eaten by vultures or crows, or whatever on the side of the road on one road trip through Central Australia. It's brutal out here. When I was in the army during the war in Iraq, I was assigned the driver for a truck in Kuwait. We were picking up some stuff from the seaport and delivering it to one of the bases on the Iraq/Kuwait border. Anyway, we were the lead truck in a small 3-truck convoy when this light-duty pickup truck pulled in front of us. A quick aside, in Kuwait they must give everyone a white light-duty pickup truck with a red strip on the side when they turn 16 or something, because you see at least 100 of them on the road anytime you drive somewhere in Kuwait. And squatting in the back of that pickup truck was a camel. Like somehow the driver of the truck managed to cram a huge camel into the bed and got it to lay on its knees, and then strapped it down like a Christmas tree and went down the freeway on his merry way. So here we were driving behind a camel quietly looking at us while munching some feed the owner laid out with it. It was like something out of Catch-22. When I was 15, my family took a vacation to Europe. In Rome, we were taking transportation from the airport to our hotel, and along with us was about 10 to 15 people of various nationalities doing the bag drag as well. As we were loading in, one man bumped into another man and they both start yelling at each other in their native languages, neither of them understanding each other. So one man yells "F you," and the other man without flinching screams back "No, F you." This went on for the entirety of our 15-minute drive to the hotel. Two grown men screaming "F you" back and forth to each other because it was the only common phrase they had. I was in China a few years ago with some friends, and I headed back to our hostel from a mountain by myself because I wasn't feeling too well. There was a bus going directly to our hotel, so no chance of getting lost. Halfway down the mountain, the bus driver stopped, grabbed a baseball bat from next to his seat, got out and clubbed a snake to death. Then he threw the dead snake in the luggage compartment, got back on the bus, and carried on driving as if nothing had happened. Nobody else batted an eyelid, but it was one of the most surreal things I've ever seen. Moving to the US, I was prepared for most things, but not the following. First, the amount of ice in beverages. I was used to a cube or two at most in a glass. Here I found ice running the show, like 80% ice with some Diet Coke thrown in. Second, portion sizes. They are huge. A medium pizza is larger than the large pizza back in my home country. Third, lack of sidewalks. I know this is not uniform across the country or even my city, but where I live, there are simply no sidewalks or crossings. The entire suburb is built for cars with pedestrians being an afterthought. I found out the hard way walking home in 5 inches of snow and running across roads. Fourth, this was touched upon in Master of None. Nice folks who can't understand your accent say pardon or sorry. Trash bags just go ha. Also people start speaking slower, even when it's they who are having trouble understanding your accent. Lol. Fifth, bikers with no helmets. I find Americans value road safety a lot more than my home country, but for some reason it is fine to drive a 1000cc bike at 80 miles per hour without a helmet. Sixth, speaking of bikes, a friend pointed out to me that I will never see two guys on a bike. It's fine for two dudes to hang in a car, but a bike is a big no-no unless they are romantically involved. I have yet to see an exception to this rule. Seventh, gas pumps with no attendants. Almost felt magical to fill up and be on my way without telling someone to fill it up. 8th, people using turn signals when changing lanes was a welcome but unexpected thing for me. Yeah, I know. When I got back home from US I realized we too have lane markers on the road, just never paid attention to them before. All in all, apart from very few things, it was mostly pleasant surprises. Not weird, per se, but the amazingly tough little old ladies in Japan. I was in my 20s when I went, and one day I went to Nara Prefecture for some hiking. I was wheezing and panting as I made my way up a hill, and an elderly woman who must have been around 75 and walking with a pair of sticks just blew past me, leaving me in the dust. I think they have bionic grannies over there or something. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Let us know your thoughts on this topic. See you soon.